Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is June 21st, and it is a Monday. Happy Monday, folks. With the exception of what happened on the overnight and early this morning. I'm joined by Monty and CJ, our crypto analysts from marketrebellion.com, and the one and only Rob from Digital Asset News. And if you guys are a fan of Rob's, which you all should be by default, he put out a great video earlier today on what's happening. And so we decided to bring him on as well and kind of discuss what's going on. I know there's a lot of fear amongst the people, and it's deserved. Nothing wrong with that. So we're going to talk through a couple of different things that are happening with the market, what some possible outcomes and scenarios and where we go from here are. But real quickly, I do just want to point this out, folks, and that is this number right here. $1.32 trillion. We were over 2 trillion not too long ago. Yeah, Bitcoin sentiment right here on the 7-day. You can see it trailing down. I'm just going to get this bad news out of the way because I know CJ and Monty are full of happy news. But yeah, it's a lot of red. So we'll see what they got to say. CJ, triple duty. Ryan is still off.
Thank you, Alex. Just a reminder that nothing said today by Market Rebellion, Trade the Chain, or Digital Asset News should be constituted as financial advice. Please do your own research, guys. We do this for educational and informative purposes only. Trade the Chain is also brought to you by TradeTheChain.com, an AI-driven sentiment indicator and dashboard alert system to help you beat the market. This gauges sentiment from a direct API linked into Twitter. We'll show the dashboard in just a moment here as we get going, but you can try that for 14 days for free trial at TradeTheChain.com. Also has a community of members all throughout the world sharing victories and defeats and their trading journey. Also, if we go over to marketrebellion.com/crypto, that is Monty and myself and our community at Market Rebellion. And with us, you get actionable trade ideas with entries, exits, and stop losses on a weekly basis, along with our macro portfolio allocations, a pro charting platform, and a crypto trading education curriculum. I just finished a course on volume and how to interpret that. So we'll be adding that to the education center, hopefully by the end of the week. And then, of course, please go over to danteachescrypto.com as well. That is Digital Asset News' site for bite-sized learning pieces. And also check out Rob's YouTube channel, now with over 230,000 subs. So congrats on that, Rob. Great info, though, there. But gentlemen, anything you'd like to say before we get into the technicals here?
CJ, you got to get passionate. You got to be, and Digital Asset News with over 230,000.
No. I like the way CJ says it. because there's so much crazy, what is it? They call it fake fire in the YouTube. I like it how he's like calm and relaxed, because in these days, my man, we need some more calmness in these crazy markets.
Well, I'm going to hint at this. It's going to come out later today that we are doing a giveaway over at Trade the Chain.
How much?
It's
staggering.
$10,000 in Cent tokens.
Damn.
It's for all new members that sign up this week. All the details will be in a tweet that goes out from the Trade the Chain account. So if you're thinking of signing up, follow Trade the Chain on Twitter. We are giving a new member who signs up this week $10,000 in Cent token. Enough said.
Nice. Yeah. Baller. It's a baller move right there.
Oh, it is.
Crypto Uncle, we will never stop shilling.
No, it's in our blood.
It's in our DNA.
Some of us are just better at it than others. That's all it is.
Go ahead, CJ. Tell the people what they want to hear.
Yes, in my monotone voice as well. So Bit of an interesting case here with Bitcoin. Really, all that we can say is that we're testing the lows here of that channel once more. Until we break one of these concrete like channel lines, there's not a whole lot of trading action to be taken. I suppose, I wouldn't mind scaling in at current price levels, even if we do drop down to the second leg as opposed to, say, 26 or 24K. I don't think we're going that low due to the lack of sell volume and a few other things. But nonetheless, I do still see the merit of a potential bear flag down to those levels. Not really seeing anything that would show me that just yet as we test the lows. But like what we said earlier today, it's make or break for Bitcoin. Either we break this level and fall into our next downward channel, or we rebound from the lows and potentially test up towards the moving average at 39K.
True.
Not a whole lot to say in terms of the technicals, so I do want to do a little bit of teaching in the sense that I want to just show you guys some indicators. This has to do with volume and how it's weighted. Something that I want to emphasize here is the volume profile, something I haven't showed before on the horizontal axis here, or the vertical axis, I should say. And so where you get the areas of the most significant volume is typically where you can place the more accurate support and resistance levels. So like there, we would see that we're coming in with a lot of volume at roughly 55. So that equates to a pretty good resistance level as well as support. Same thing down here. This really shows that most of the coins exchanged hands at around 36 to 35K. So really, whether price is above or below that level, that price line acts as very strong resistance or support, depending on whether it's above or below. But that's one way in which you can use the volume profile to get more info, kind of similar to like a website like Whale Map. But that's how you can use the volume profile to determine support and resistance levels as well. Last thing I want to touch on here before maybe going into some Glassnode data or just passing it to Monty is this weekly chart perspective of, the trajectory of what could happen or what we could expect to happen if Bitcoin exploded similar to kind of 2014. So these candles or these blue kind of projections, obviously they haven't occurred yet. This is what price has done up until then. But now you can see if we overlay the price trajectory of 2013 and 2014 to our current breakdown, essentially, I just think we're going to be range bound here until the early fall, maybe even September, October, or November at the very latest. But, it doesn't have to play out exactly like this. It doesn't have to mirror 2013 or 2014 specifically. The point I want to make by showing this is emphasizing to you guys how parabolic and how far Bitcoin can rise in such a short period of time. I mean, we had potentially, 7 to 8 weeks in this one parabolic leg here, which would hypothetically take us from 70K roughly to, I don't even want to say it, upwards of like 250,000 in such a short period of time. But that's kind of the trajectory of what I just want to lay out in terms of the technicals. And like I said, it does not have to play out. That's just kind of the points that I wanted to make and emphasize.
Yeah, you make some great points there, CJ. And, getting back to, you mentioned that Glassnode report, it came out earlier this morning, and a lot of it was about how, we're kind of returning to early 2021 levels, like how we started the year. And I think the price action is reflecting that as well. So I want to pull up the Bitcoin chart real quick, the daily chart. And this has just been a very bizarre year for Bitcoin price action, but we're now retesting some critical levels that have been critical beyond just the last 2 weeks. These levels were also critical when we were on the way up. So, I think there's good reason to believe that we may be approaching a bottom here just because of this chart formation right here. So early 2021, there was still very little retail participation until the beginning of 2021. You can see when the volume really took off right here. and we went parabolic all the way up to 61, 64K here. But now we're all the way back pretty much where we started the year. And there's only so much sell pressure the market can provide. One thing that's going to be really interesting to me is what happens when we break this 31K level. I do think there could be the potential for a further drop in the short term because of the fact that there probably are a lot of stop losses that are, going to inevitably be triggered when we dip into maybe 29, 28K territory. But I still really like this level for a level of accumulation and consolidation. And CJ, I agree with your timeline of perhaps, being in this range until early fall. It's not very exciting, but, it does seem likely given what we're seeing, in terms of price action and on-chain metrics. So getting to this, Glassnode report, one big piece of news that hit the market this morning was, China banning Bitcoin mining. And not surprisingly, the hash rate really took a heavy tumble, down 16%. And historically, we've seen price react to that similarly to the hash rate as well. So it's not too surprising that we saw price tumble as a result. But Rob, this morning on your show, I think you did a great job kind of explaining how, although we're seeing some pain in the short term, this is ultimately a good thing in the long term for Bitcoin because we're getting away from some of that mining centralization in China. And, it does also address those ESG concerns. A lot of this mining is going to move to North America. And I think that is ultimately a good thing. But one thing I did want to mention as well is the on-chain, just look, this is pretty much sums it up right here. Tumbleweeds on-chain. There has been very little on-chain volume, and we haven't really seen it like this since the very beginning of 2021. So, now that we're returning to these levels before we saw all the retail participation, before we saw all the, levered longs entering the market, I think we are due for some range-bound activity. And that's supported with the kind of bottoming out of these on-chain metrics. We're hitting lows that we haven't seen since the beginning of the year. And for me, that's a good indication that, we're approaching a bottom. I'm reluctant to enter right now because of the, chance of some interim volatility. But I do think there is a good chance that we're going to be hovering around this 30K level, between 30K and 42K, for at least a month or so. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, makes sense.
Rob, one of the things I would like is for you to kind of go and touch on what you spoke about this morning on your video. You had some really clear and concise points of a couple different factors culminating into what's maybe just accelerating a market that maybe if one of the factors had positioned themselves and not all of them, the market could have been able to sustain a more support.
Yeah, well, it was. It really came down to there was really three factors, and Monty already touched on a couple of those. It was the Chinese government said, "Hey, we're going to shut down all the mining operations, and not shut them down, but we're going to stop the power flow to you, and that's it. And then you're done. So if you don't have power, you have no business, and then that's pretty much kicks them out." So that was on June 18th. It was supposed to culminate on June 20th, which was yesterday. It was the final day. And then today you see the hash power just drop off, just like what CJ was talking about. But I, in the video, so I talked about that. And then there was some more news about how the central bank of China reiterated the whole prospect of, hey, you guys, you can't do anything with crypto and digital assets. You have to, you can't do anything as far as transactions. You can't do anything OTC. This is going to affect a lot of different exchanges, like a Binance, like a, name your exchange. You're going to lose all those customers, and that just goes out the window. So that's two huge things. And then the third thing was grayscale lockup periods starting to expire. So that was the big three. But when people look at that, and we talked about this, we look at it as negative. And I've always, when I saw this, I'm like, this is great news, but it's not being conveyed as great news because on the regular media, they're like, this is awful in China and blah, blah. Who cares about China? Well, first of all, the Chinese people, they're getting their big shaft. That's just what it comes down to. The Chinese government is really the ones that are really going to they have all the control. The Chinese people, I feel sorry for them because they're out of the whole crypto game. So sorry, but in the good news, and I was talking, and my man Alex here gave me a great little pickup. I talked to is it Ibrahim? Did I say his name?
Ibrahim, yeah, from Newmine.
From Newmine. And I'm going to share my screen real quick. Because I say, like, this is great news. This is something we need to talk about. I say this is great news because we don't want the mining operation in China. We want to get that out as fast as possible. So instead of us having to let the markets do it and take a long time as far as like filling the gap, the Chinese government just did it for us. They gave us a gift and said, get out. Well, that's cool. You can get out. And guess where they're going? Europe, North America, Central America, well, mostly North America. So I was talking to Ibrahim, and we're going to actually have him on the show today later. And he told me, he's like, look, we've had so many requests. We are inundated with so many requests from these miners who want to come to North America, who want to come to Texas, who want to come to Maryland, and they need to pick up other operations. We're helping them do those things. This is fantastic news, but you won't hear that on the media because they're going to sling it a different way because negative news always sells. So this is one of those times when you got to really take a look and really think to yourself this: the answers that are being given, is it just some simple nonsense that, okay, or is it, you really got to really dig deep and see what the real answers are and where things are actually leading? I think this is a little bit complex, but not that much. And I think things are going to work out pretty well. The only thing that concerns me, though, well, is two things. One is the smoke break index. I have to be honest with you. And this, right now, yesterday we were okay. We were at about a 2-pack. Now we're 3 to 4. We're going down. And Alex is in probably a full box alarm right now. So when these things happen, we have to really, really be concerned. However, I think with what Ibrahim was talking about as far as the Bitcoin mining, it kind of flips the whole script. And I think it's actually good news. And I think this is where we're at right now. That is one thing that concerns me. But really, honestly, the thing that I think about is what CJ said, which was, why is China, in all their infinite wisdom of whatever they're doing in their country, why are they letting go of that power play? So letting go of all that Bitcoin and going, get out, we don't want you. Is there some kind of 3D, 4D chess? Or is it as simple as them just saying, we don't want to deal with this. We just want to control everything with our digital yuan and then shut everybody down. And I don't know. That's the one that really concerns me because I'm not smart enough to figure out the 4D chess parts.
I mean, does anybody really understand what's going on behind the scenes over there? No one, right? I mean, if I had to guess, I'm going to be a conspiracy theorist and say it's 3D, 4D chess going on. You don't think that a country like China would actually give up Bitcoin, right? They probably hold a massive amount one way or another, whether they confiscated it or some state-controlled mining. But I mean, to hang your hopes up on the digital one, I mean, that's I don't know what to say about that. But you're absolutely right. I'm interested to see what Ibrahim has to say, because the hash rate is now 50% less than it was.
Right.
Really, I remember Lucas, and we spoke about this earlier, Rob. Lucas put out a tweet back in April. And he was like, I wish I could pull it up. He was like, this is the top. And that's all he said. And the only reason I missed the tweet because he retweeted that tweet some weeks later. But it was like the same day, the hash rate dropped 50%. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like, I think it was because the hash rate is below 100, I think, terahashes. At that point, when he sent out that tweet, it was 196 terahashes. In 48 hours, it dropped down to 105, 106. So roughly 50%. And now here we are at 92. However, I will say this, though. I mean, as I understand it, if the hash power goes down because there's not as many Bitcoin miners, doesn't the difficulty also go down? So it's easier to mine Bitcoin. So like Ibrahim, when he told me about it, he's like, if I was a small time Bitcoin miner, I'd fire up the rigs right now today and see where that, maybe I get lucky, mine a couple of Bitcoin.
You know, we have a couple of those guys on the show today. CJ, Monty, you going to fire up some rigs?
Well, the difficulty adjustment takes like, what is it, 2008 blocks to actually kick in. So that's like 2 weeks maybe. So I have to wait.
Well, that's no good. That's no good. We'll just wait for all the Bitcoin miners to set up in West Texas then. That's what I'm waiting for. I said, hey, if you guys come to West Texas, I'll work for you. I'll be out there.
Rob will shill it all day long. No worries. Another thing I want to get to that both our Trade the Chain community officer, Nick Mancini, as well as a couple times on the show and some others, Ethereum. I mean, we're down the 1900 level. There was a couple calls there for 1800 some weeks back, and people were making fun of people, and it now looks like this could be true. Monty, can you hit us up with some Ethereum take, please?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. That's the funny thing about kind of predicting a bit of a correction in Ethereum. I love to be right, but the only thing I love more than being right is money. And so, I'm somewhat happy that I was right here, but I'm still holding my ETH, and I did take a little bit off, but I think now more than anything, I'm seeing an opportunity in Ethereum. I've been harping on this sort of divergence between the price action of ETH and Bitcoin, and I always see that as an opportunity. Whenever there's a discrepancy in, the price action of these two major assets in crypto, there's an opportunity there. So just looking at the 200 period moving average, this was kind of the, main basis of my hypothesis for this price action below 2K. For ETH, it's still above this moving average. And whenever you see like this much of a divergence from the moving average, it tends to snap back eventually. And when going back to that discrepancy, like we keep talking about with Bitcoin, this 200 period moving average is above price, acting as resistance at about 42K. So it's not surprising to me that eventually this caught up. We're back here now. And I think that eventually we're going to see by the end of this, consolidation period, the 200 period moving average for ETH is going to be almost positioned exactly the same relative to the current price as it is for Bitcoin. So during this period of consolidation, I expect us to remain, somewhat around this 200 period moving average. We also have this support here that we wick down to all the way down at about 1700. So I wouldn't be surprised that if we do break this moving average, we wick down and retest maybe possibly 1700. But I am looking to accumulate ETH right now because of what we're seeing technically. I think it's establishing a nice range here between this level of 2250 and this moving average of 1870. So I will be looking to add to my ETH position over the next couple of weeks. But that being said, I'm not expecting any sort of crazy price action. I'm expecting it to consolidate alongside Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to do anything crazy until Bitcoin's ready to run. And I don't think that's going to happen for, the next couple of weeks or so. One other thing to look out for is, we've been talking a lot about the death cross in Bitcoin and that role it played in the current price action. That still has yet to play out for ETH. So this moving average is going to turn down the 50 period while this sort of flattens out. And we could see some bearish price action when these two do converge, but that's still a very long way off. I think ETH is close to putting in a bottom here. And one last thing I will mention is Bitcoin dominance, because that's another thing that played into my, my price prediction for ETH. This is still looking very, if you're just reading this as a blind chart, it's still looking very bullish in my opinion. And I think that what tends to happen when we see this sort of formation is people moving out of the risk on assets downstream and more into Bitcoin. So we're seeing people sell off Bitcoin, but we're seeing it to a much larger extent in the alts. And I expect that to continue to happen. And even to an extent, people will begin to accumulate Bitcoin as well. So this is looking at this on the weekly chart makes me think that, there's still a couple of weeks or even maybe 1 to 2 months for this formation to play out. And in the meantime, I won't be, too bullish on ETH. I'm waiting for this to all play out, but not much to say other than tough day for ETH.
Very tough day for everybody. Definitely would like to know what everybody's thinking today. It's probably, I would say it's the toughest day thus far this year. just psychologically. So if everybody could just leave a comment and let us know what you're feeling today about your positions in crypto, what your outlook is for the market as we go through the summer. I'd be interested to see that, very much so. Any outliers? Are there any outliers out there of coins or projects that anybody knows about right now?
Outliers being like
Outliers that either haven't taken a hard hit, either are pretty market neutral right now, or ones that are excelling even with regard to the downward pressure that Bitcoin and Ethereum are feeling.
How is Theta and T-Fuel doing with that mainnet launch coming up?
I was just going to say the same thing, Rob, because it had done really well, but it's down 12% today at 51 cents. I believe we did the Trinity trading couple weeks back. It was at 55 cents. So you can still, I think there's going to be cheaper prices to get that one. But in terms of like a resilient thing to make a trade on, I mean, I wish they sold Bitcoin dominance futures so I could trade that, but they don't.
Yeah.
There's one called Pirate Chain, which is up 6%. Ranked number 91.
Well, here we go for the daily. The most bullish coin for the daily, Tether.
Hey, I don't know if you guys get this, but I've gotten so many questions lately about Tether and how it's going to destroy the market. And I've been hearing about this since 2017. And like every day it's supposed to destroy the market. But I don't know if you guys get the same stuff, but I get it all the time still.
We'll see.
We have as well.
I got to do a video.
What I'll say is that it's interesting. Like Rob, you said, this has been going on for, if you've been in the space, you've heard about Tether since 2016, 2017. I remember I was trading during the bear market of 2018, and I was actually short because it was really bearish technical formation at the time. And all of a sudden, Tether had some FUD, and there was like a mini bank run on Tether. And Tether traded all the way down to 89 cents. It lost its dollar peg. But where did the people put their money who were selling the Tether? They went into Bitcoin and they squeezed my short, and Bitcoin went from like $7,000 to $8,000 in one day. And I'm like, we're in the depths of a bear market. What the hell did this happen? And it was because of Tether. So it's not going to crash the market. Even if it is only a fractional reserve, some people are going to get their capital out and they're going to stay in crypto as a result of it. So I don't see this whole existential threat actually coming to fruition. Are they doing fractional reserve lending? Are they doing some sketchy stuff that isn't completely audited? Sure. But is it going to be an atomic bomb to the space? No.
Yeah. Welcome to crypto.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I know this is one of your favorite subjects. Any updates on the XRP lawsuit?
Well, I was talking to Brad, and he said that he thinks they're going to win. No, I have no idea. Look, the thing with that lawsuit is that I personally believe, first of all the XRP army, they are actually, how can I say it? When I sold my XRP, they were kind of jerks about it, but they're still a great community. They still actually rally behind their people. So I will just say this. This is what I think about what's going to happen. XRP is going to settle with the SEC. They're going to pay a fine because that's what it all comes down to, money. And then they're going to move on with their lives. And then once that happens, I think then we can move forward. Because I think it's interesting that even the SEC, I covered this yesterday, they don't even have this on the books to discuss cryptocurrency regulation. So even though Gensler was out there going, we need to do some regulation, it doesn't seem to be a big deal because they're not even put on the agenda. So,
well, I mean, also a lot of people give you a hard time for no good reason at all. You took a tax loss, which went in your favor. But you also made money on XRP. You did go back in, I believe, right?
Yeah, I went in all way because I sold it at 22 or 21 cents, and I went back in because I needed the losses. But yeah, that is neither here nor there.
So now it's just the Hex community that hates you then.
Yeah, they really hate me. That's okay.
All right. Okay, so guys, we go into the 20s before we go back up. Show of hands, anybody? That's what we're doing?
I think 28.
28.
I see 28. And then
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say remember when it was me, you, and James, and we were doing that live stream, and I said 34, and I was like, and then my grandson was there, and he's like 40. I'm like, okay, 40, but I should have gone to 34. But I see 28. I see 20. I don't know. It's just a general consensus and a feeling, because like you just see so much negative now coming out, and it doesn't matter how much good news. It seems like that moves the market more. CJ, what do you got?
I think it's a coin flip. And here's the thing, like the market doesn't care what I think, and what I think doesn't really matter either. It matters what I do and what action I take based on the market movements. So let's say we get a crash down to something like 26K and a nice like high volume bounce off of that support level. That's an action I can take to say, all right, it's time to buy, it's time to get back in. But until I see something like that, I can't really do a whole lot about it. So yeah, while I think it's possible, at the end of the day, it's about action and making money as opposed to just being right.
Yeah, that's a good point, CJ. And the fact that, I still don't necessarily have the conviction to enter a long trade because of the possibility of some interim volatility to the downside, I think, could be an indication that a lot of other people feel that way as well. So I don't know if we found the bottom yet. I think we could be in for some more pain in the interim. I hate to continually be bearish on this show, but I do think there is a good chance we head back in to the 20K range, at least just, on a daily wick before we head back up and start consolidating around 30K.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's public, Rob, but I think there's a bunch of us getting together to revisit our predictions, our mid-year predictions, because there's a lot of people that are looking at us saying, are you guys scared? Are you guys worried? What are you guys doing? And it's not fair for us to talk about this unless we give some sort of insight into what we're personally doing. So with that being said, there's a lot of people that saw our predictions in Q1, and there's a lot of people that want to know if our convictions still stand rolling into the halfway mark of the year. So are we doing something?
Yeah, we're going to do towards the end of this month, towards the end of June, we'll do another updated price prediction video. People love those, love them. And I think this is a perfect time because I agree with what everybody said right here. I see 2 or 3 months sideways action, volatility, pain, whatever you want to say. But towards the end of the year, I still think we rally. And I think it all starts here with getting out of China and getting rid of this China FUD. I'm so sick of talking about China. They've been banning this thing for like years. So we move forward. I see big things, but this is really uncharted territory, because this is where the strongest of strongest says, okay, what am I going to do here? Do I want to keep going in? Do I want to stay in the silence? Or do I want to get out totally? And I will never call anybody paper hands again. It is whatever you want to do. But I see things, I see where things are going. I see towards the end of the year, we have some good things. And we'll let everybody know on the next price prediction video.
Okay, good. I got to tell you, it's going to be a long summer. I was hoping for a happy one.
I know.
Do you mind if I bring up one last point? This is the last thing I wanted to say, and it's kind of just a reiteration of that chart I shared earlier. But we're all talking about this stagnation going into summer. Like, could you imagine if we're in October and Bitcoin is still like $35,000? Like, imagine how many people are going to give up and say, oh, the stock to flow model didn't work. It's completely invalidated. Bitcoin's never going up again. The stock market's going to crash. When we see the epitome and the height of that worry and panic, I love when people say, oh, the market should have done this by this time. It's like, no, the market is not going to do anything. Like when a crowd attacks something, you don't say, oh, why did the crowd do that? It was just a reaction of people. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make, and I think this goes back with Monty, is that there's going to be a lot of boring death by 1,000 cuts type of trading as this chop goes for the next few months. So it's going to be slow and a grind, but I'm ready for it.
It's going to be boring, but imagine when it actually takes off again, because it will take off again. I mean, is there anybody under the disillusion that it will just stay like this range bound for years?
Well, if you look back, even first of all, I said it before, I think we've said it before. If you look back a couple months when we were talking, even if this bull run ended now, this is where it goes from here. So how bad is this? Look at where we were this time last year, you know? So even at these levels, there's been a huge price increase in value if you were in this market a year ago. The majority of us, not all of us, because I know a lot of people are new to crypto, came in the last couple of months, but the majority of us are profitable over where we were a year ago with our same position. So it's perceived value lost, not actual money lost. And if we look at the, CJ preached this left and right, if we look at what the retracement is from where the 60,000 mark to now, and this was the end of the bull cycle, that would be approximately the same average retracement that CJ has been telling everybody what would happen at the end of the bull cycle. I believe CJ, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we were talking like 40 to 70%, and we're down 50, and we could go down more. So if we have to start at this being the bottom here, I'm okay for it. And I think it's a great time to, and I hate when people say this, I think it's a great time to pick up those values.
To accumulate.
To accumulate. I hate saying that because buy the dip. Let me tell you, there have been so many damn dips. Nobody has any more money to buy the damn dip anymore. Okay, let's be honest. But if you did, that'd be a good time.
But yeah, if you did, but just like these guys were saying, I think there's more downside to come. So if you're gonna buy the dip, dollar cost average into the dip, because I think there's more discounts to be had. We'll see.
Yeah, we just need to pick up some volumes. I mean, you saw the Michael Saylor Bitcoin buy. It had no sway. It didn't impact the market at all. So, I mean, some people were so desperate. I saw them begging Elon to tweet.
That ship has passed.
Anyway, folks, I looked at comments on projects that we should go over as the boring cycle sets in from Friday's video, and there's some good ones, and they're on the list, and we're gonna start covering and gonna share with the team, the broader team here. Feel free to keep doing that. No BS ones. Don't shill us projects. We're talking about existing stuff, so that we'll do. What's that?
Safe moon to the moon. Or DAP or whatever that thing is. I get all this the crazy.
Think of what his wife is. His wife's like, I can't even take him to cocktail parties anymore. So keep dropping those projects in so they get on our radar, and we're gonna start picking a few. We'll start off with a few this week that we'll cover, and we'll continue to do that as we quote unquote go through the boring zone. Other than that, guys. Yeah, go ahead.
No, last thing. Just as a reminder, this is where all the money's made, when it's boring and going sideways. So just so you know, dollar cost average, this is where I made the big money.
This is where Rob made all his money. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Rob will be the first one to tell you he bought at the top in the last one, okay? He made all his money DCAing through the cold, harsh winter. So with that being said, go over and check out danteachescrypto.com. It's absolutely free. Teach you everything you need to know about the basics of crypto and the intermediate. Go to marketrebellion.com /crypto and check out the education that Monty and CJ are throwing down. Go to tradethechain.com. Check out our 14-day trial if you want to stay ahead of the market. Our data and our community is what's there for you. And that is it. So hang on to your handlebars. Follow @TradeTheChain for that big contest, a $10,000 contest giveaway rules and details. Because my plan is to go broke before the market rallies again. And